Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Clearly, I'm devastated, and this one stings. This is a very brutal loss. You had this victory in your grasp, and you allowed it to slip through your fingers. And unfortunately, one of your best relief pitchers in Connor Brogdon was the player that made the mistakes. He was not able to deliver the way that he needed to. When you have the one pitch that everyone knows they can sit on, good luck. 3-run shots, 2 of them. And yes, the storyline after the game seems to be Joe Girardi, and I thought he kept Connor Brogdon in way too long. There was a time when my brain registered, all right, Joe, I think it's time to help the kid out. I think there is an issue here. I think you got to pull the plug. Keep in mind, no Archie Bradley due to injury. Jose Alvarado is on the IL with that COVID-19 protocol list. So I'm not acting as if there's a billion different options available for late game situations, but you can't just throw the kid in there and pray that he works himself out of it when he is struggling to that level. Sometimes there's a point, and that line was crossed, and Joe Girardi did not step in. I do feel, though, that the reaction tonight is very extreme to the point where the Phillies are where they are, not because of player production, the lack thereof, not because of the flaws on this team, but because of Joe Girardi. And I think that that is getting obnoxious. The squad is not performing. Your center field is a disaster. You're on your third center fielder, and they're 8-9. That's 17 games into the season. Your other options, they're not bringing up due to domestic violence. And the other one has a 1-for-26 stretch going on right now with 12 strikeouts against taxi squad players. So what option do you want to throw out there in center field? That doesn't mean that Joe Girardi can't do things a little bit better, be a bit cleaner, and tweak a few decisions that he does here and there. But ultimately, when your offense is struggling the way that it was prior to tonight, that's on the players not executing. Let's get to Zack Wheeler tonight, because my blame goes more so on Zack Wheeler than anybody else. Connor Brogdon has been a stud to this point. He's going to have one of those nights where he doesn't have it, and the other team is going to hit some home runs, and that's what bullpen pieces do. They give you really solid play. The good bullpen pieces, they'll give you a bunch of games in a row where nobody gets an earned run on you, and you don't get a lot of damage, and there's not a lot of runners on base, and then you blow up for 1 or 2 scenarios, and then you get back to yourself again that you were prior, and that's what good bullpen pieces do. So I'm fascinated with the Connor Brogdon storyline specifically, just from a individual perspective as he gets his next opportunity to go out there on the mound. But Zack Wheeler had a 4-0 lead. It started out where we saw the lineup and we were pretty upset with Matt Joyce and Bamboo Brad, and it just looked wonky considering Joe Girardi said the previous day after the first loss to the Giants, we're going to make some changes. Andrew McCutchen got the day off. Rhys Hoskins got the day off. They had Webb up on the bump. They wanted to attack Webb with certain players on their lineup, and it ended up working. So who am I to judge? It's sort of like the Chase Anderson thing, right? People were so disappointed that, well, Chase Anderson was yanked after the 4th inning. What is this, Game 7 of the World Series? Why would Joe Girardi pinch hit Bamboo Brad in Game 1 of this series? What are you doing? There's plenty of time. Well, he wasn't wrong. One, every bullpen piece he put in there at that time worked out, and they benefited from it, and they did not allow the Giants to score any more runs. Remember, I'm talking about Game 1 of this series. And then also, every time they had a chance to score in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th innings, they couldn't get that extra run aboard. So Joe Girardi was right with his thought process. He tried to get that added chance, that added at-bat by pulling a player like Chase Anderson, not Aaron Nola, not Zach Eflin, not even Zack Wheeler, even though I'm going to rip him apart in a couple minutes here. His thought process wasn't wrong. You might not like it, but he wasn't wrong in his assessment, and everybody on the field executed. So guess what? It was the right decision. With Joe Girardi, with this lineup, you thought that it was going to be terrible, and they end up executing, not at first. Well, really, to start the game off, Zack Wheeler, first pitch, here goes a beautiful stroke to center field, and Mickey Moniak dives, and he makes an amazing play. Well, that was actually a really nice fucking play. I'm not going to lie. To start the game off, first pitch, I'm sure some people were still cleaning up in the kitchen. That was me today. I had dish duty. So my fiance cooked dinner. We had this great taco salad concept, and here I am cleaning the pans. I can hear the broadcast in the living room, and I'm like, all right, let me make sure, I don't miss the first pitch. Say you missed the first pitch or two. Not a big deal. And I'm running back into the kitchen as the pan's dripping water on the floor, and I'm getting yelled at. The dog's licking it. Oh, it was just a terrible experience for me. But I did see the play. It was wild. You get bases loaded, Brad Miller, 1 out up, and that normally would be Alec Boehm's spot, who ends up hitting over 300 against righties, where Brad Miller is more about 245. Even though Boehm is a righty, Brad Miller is a lefty, grounds out into a double play, and you think that the woes were going to continue. But they didn't because of your 7 and 8 hitters and Mickey Moniak getting aboard, and Maton with the unbelievable stroke of the bat goes into the right field corner. He ends up getting a double, gets to third because of the play at the plate. But how about that? Isn't it crazy how the lineup looks different when you actually get production out of your 7 and your 8? I'm still not sold on Mickey Moniak, but I'll tell you what, I am extremely interested in what Nick Maton is going to provide for you. Not that I think it's going to be a major role, not that I think it's going to be some dominating force, but he made some unbelievable plays, whether it's defensively in the 5th inning to help Zack Wheeler out when he was in some really tough moments, whether it's the hitting aspect. He had great hits, or great contact, I should say. Didn't necessarily result in a hit at the end of game 1, but he got his first MLB hit then. It's like there's a spark plug involved with Nick Maton in the way that he's playing, but it's crazy. So you get on the board there, you're up 1-0. Then you get Bamboo Brad. As much as I ripped him apart and questioned, well, why isn't Alec Boehm there? You need Alec Boehm hitting before Brad Miller. He ends up hitting a 3-run bomb. Now, technically, I wasn't wrong because Alec Boehm destroyed one as well. Had a nice pitch and drove it. You talk about perfection of a swing. I swear to God, I've said that 13 times this season when it comes to Alec Boehm. It's pure. It's textbook. It's the definition of an amazing swing. Just going through the zone, driving the baseball, phenomenal contact, phenomenal mechanics. It gives me a you-know-what downstairs. That's all I'm going to say. But you get a good lead. You're up 4-0. The Boehm home run was later. The Brad Miller home run gives you a 4-0 lead. Zack Wheeler from there pissed it away. I need way more than Zack Wheeler gave me. All right, Zack Wheeler's finishing stat line, 5 2/3, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walked batters, 6 strikeouts. Did have a nice curveball strikeout on the outside part of the plate, which was kind of like okay. And then he did have your slider strikeout too. Full in with the slider, okay. But ultimately, when you can't even get through 6 and you're throwing 105 pitches to this Giants lineup, you're not efficient enough. You're not strong enough. You're not the Zack Wheeler that we need you to be. And you have a 4-0 lead. Zack Wheeler with a 4-0 lead against this Giants team. I got to put a lot of the blame on him because not only is he getting tattooed by Buster Posey on the first pitch, and they were clearly attacking the first pitch constantly on Zack Wheeler. You think they recognized something? You think they had some numbers to support that? I mean, they were constantly swinging away, which is crazy to think about for them being so damn aggressive and for them working you the way that they worked you at 105 after 5 2/3. I mean, that's pretty damn crazy considering they knew what they were going to do. They were up there and they were ready to hack. They were hungry and they were going to let you know, and they did some damage doing it. Buster Posey gets on the board. This 5th inning was just a disaster. They get on the board to make it 4-1. Then Darren Ruff. Come on, dude. Darren Ruff, you got to work an 8-pitch at bat, and then you end up walking him. Darren Ruff, of all people, my God. Here comes Stella up to bat. On an 0-2 pitch, you allow a home run. Dude, come on, bear down. An 0-2 pitch? Now you actually work yourself into a good count. You put yourself at an advantage. You end up winning that matchup 98%. It's 98% complete. one more damn pitch, and you're going to let the ball fly over the wall, and now it's a 4-3 baseball game. After that, there was a 4-pitch walk. What are you doing? Now, when you start stressing and freaking out that, oh, it's Joe Girardi's fault, dial back to what Zack Wheeler, the guy that you need to rely on heavily at the top of your rotation. Look at what he just gave you when you gave him a 4-run lead. To me, that's more significant, and that's more of a severe penalty than keeping Connor Brogdon into the game. That is seriously more troublesome. The players need to play. Right, like this Roman Quinn thing. Well, why does he keep playing Roman Quinn? That's not a problem with just Joe Girardi. That is a franchise decision. What they're doing, that's a Dave Dombrowski thing. That's a John Middleton thing when it comes to Odubel Herrera specifically. You need to come to terms on what you're going to do. You're just handed what you got out there, and you got to make some moves. Now, like, he should never play. He should never play. Putting Andrew Knapp at second base, like, it's funky. Ended up doing a double play, though, of all people. He's the one that turns a double play. I'm not saying I love all this, but you're acting as if there's a billion options that are just magnificent waiting for you. When you lose Gene Segura from a hustle play again, and it looks like he's going to get an MRI tomorrow, I'm concerned. If you lose him and Bryce Harper have been just A+. Bryce Harper gets on base 4 more times today, by the way. 2 walks, 2 hits. It doesn't matter how hard the hits are. He'll dink and dive and just cruise in, and it'll be a little dribbler. It doesn't matter. Bryce Harper is just getting on base. And if you look at throughout the last few games how impressive the increase in his batting average has been and his OBP, it's just been an incredible jump. The dude is just playing efficient baseball and being dominant right now. Him and Gene Segura. JT to a degree as well, but when you lose Gene Segura, I mean, that's damaging. That really is. Now, you bring Rhys Hoskins in, and you got to maneuver some pieces around, but I am worried because you talk about, all right, let's change something with this lineup. Let's change something with this batting order, and Andrew McCutchen had the day off today, but what happens when he gets back into the lineup? Well, it's damaging when you don't have Gene Segura, someone that you probably could have relied on to step into a role to fulfill what Andrew McCutchen has not been helping you out with. Now it only gets tougher. When you really face adversity, you really have to face adversity. And this team's going to have to dig deep internally already. We are now we're 8-9, 17 games into the season, and you're going to have to really start looking yourself in the mirror and making sure you're staying true to one another. Yeah, it's already to that point for sure. Did Gabe Kapler outmanage Joe Girardi tonight? Yeah, I mean, look, he made some decisions that benefited that team. There's no denying that. What I hate, though, is this whole, well, look at the roster Joe has compared to the roster the Giants have. This is where people are putting way too much stock into the manager. And there was a time where I hate Gabe Kapler. I enjoy it. It's fun. I want to bill him. And back in the day when I would make all those videos and just the scream and spit flying out of my mouth because of Gabe Kapler, I thought it was a little raw, to be honest with you. I thought that maybe I overreacted. Now that I've matured a bit when breaking down this team and this organization and this franchise, I thought then I was a little bit more immature of where I was with analyzing Gabe Kapler's role with the Phillies role. Now, it's sort of coming full circle, and I have digested more information and just studied the league a little bit harder, the game a little bit harder, how the analytics played such a big role with Matt Klentak. I didn't factor that in so much then. It was more, I just despised Gabe, and now I take it to more of a fun level. But here's my thing when it comes to, well, look at the rosters and look at how the managers are doing. The players play. The players play. Without Buster Posey walking up and crushing a ball twice off of Zack Wheeler, what are we talking about here? Gabe Kapler's doing some minor things and making some decisions. There's a reason why out of 162 games, out of 162, you talk about just barely a handful of games being impacted by the manager. Such a small minority, such a tiny percentage, because 99.8% of the time it comes down to the player's execution. That doesn't mean, and this is another thing, right? When Gabe Kapler was here, Carlos Santana was smashing television screens because there wasn't enough accountability and there were some problems with guys playing Fortnite 5 minutes before a game in the clubhouse. Why can't both statements be true? Gabe Kapler wasn't good here. He's doing better in San Francisco, in a town that better suits him. And Joe Girardi isn't being the best version of himself either. Why can't both be true? Instead of, I told you it wasn't Gabe Kapler. No, Gabe Kapler was a part of the problem here. He's applied some of the things he's learned to his skill set as a manager. Now he's different in a different city with a different team. And Joe Girardi hasn't been the cleanest version of himself. Both can be true. I will say this about Joe Girardi, though, because when you hear about what happened with New York and how he handled things there with the Yankees, I did feel that there would be a little bit more toughness involved, but this is also the nature of baseball. This is also realizing where baseball's at. Listen to how Aaron Boone speaks. Listen to how Gabe Kapler speaks. Listen to how these managers around the league speak. I thought that maybe there'd be a little bit more edge with Joe Girardi, and there'd be a little bit more passion, a little bit more of like, yeah, I need more. I need them to be better. Instead of, well, I like that play, and it wasn't that bad by Roman Quinn. It was just, it just wasn't the best, or, it wasn't the worst ever. Like, no, Joe, show me a little bit more attitude. I thought there'd be a little bit more oomph under Joe Girardi, but that's also, is it Joe Girardi's fault, or is it the game of baseball? And that's where I'm torn here when I'm trying to analyze where we are right now in the sport of baseball. This is how the managers speak. They don't have that same level of fire that they used to. You might not like that. You might demand that it's back, but no one does it. It's not there. Demanding that it comes back, well, that doesn't do anything for me, because no teams really go down that road of that old school, I'm going to piss in your face mentality. I don't even know what the hell that meant, but you get my point. I don't think anyone's pissing in anyone's face. Let's just move right along. But you don't get that, I'm going to kick dirt on you and I'm going to be intense. It's just not that way. I thought maybe you'd go from, because when you change pace as a franchise, you normally do the 180 every time. So if you have a relaxed manager, you get a little bit more of a little bit more of a harsh manager. But if you have a harsh manager and that message runs dry, maybe you go back to a more of a team-friendly manager. When the team-friendly manager runs its course, you go back to a guy that might get into your grill a bit more. And it's just, you flip-flop back and forth. So going from Gabe Kapler, getting a name like Joe Girardi, knowing what he once was in New York with that team, with that organization, I thought maybe he would take some of that here. I'm not saying that he was anything crazy in New York. I just expected more fire from him. That's all. And I don't think we are necessarily getting that, unfortunately. So when the game was 4-3, Posey makes it. Bo makes it 6-3. Posey then makes it 6-4. And yeah, I mean, it was bad. Quinn, by the way, is batting .040 now. I wonder how low it can possibly get before he just does not get out on the field anymore. At what point? Think about this statement. He's batting .040. At what point is it, hey, maybe this isn't working? From a franchise looking down at the roster, guys, I think we need to make a change. Seriously? And on leading off with Brodes, we dove into it. Dave Dombrowski spoke the other day when all the COVID-19 protocol stuff came down, and he was talking about how, hey, we talk about this, and we talk about Odubel, and we talk about how Mickey Moniak's going to give us the best chance right now. Wrong. That's a lie. You're lying to us. You talk about making a change outside of the organization. Well, you're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to get unique. Because you're desperate. Everyone knows you're desperate, and you're desperate 17 games into the season. How does everybody in this damn city know that this is going to happen, but they allow it to play itself out before they make that move? Really? Whoa, we didn't think it was going to be this bad. Excuse me? It's not like we were all demanding an upgrade for how long? We knew it was going to be bad, Joe. We knew it was going to be bad, Dave. Historic. You're talking about coming off of the second worst bullpen in MLB history to following that up with one of the worst historic starts in baseball history from a center field position, not being able to get a hit. Luckily, you got Mickey Moniak getting one today. There you go. He gets off the schneid and finally gets a hit after making a defensive play where, if you watch the route, there was a little bit of some I had to recover moment, and there's something with this off the bat thing that is just really weird to me with Mickey Moniak off the bat. I just don't think he gets good jumps. Now, this recovery thing is working, but, how long can you do that where you're not getting good jumps, perfect jumps? You got to get better jumps, let's say, and then you're just relying on that every time. At some point, it's why don't you read it better off the bat, huh? All right, let me tell you about my friends over at DeSimone Jewelers. If you are looking to get your fiance or your future fiance an engagement ring or your significant other a birthday present, some sort of jewelry, a necklace, a ring, earrings, they have help when it comes to watches as well. You have to go to DeSimone Jewelers. All right? I went there for my fiance's engagement ring, and it was seriously the best decision I've ever made in my entire life, to the point where I nonstop go back. They're located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They moved originally, though, from Jewelers Row. They're a family-owned business with over 40 years of experience. They do not use sale tactics. They sit you down and they show you their options and they educate you on what exactly you're looking at and what you're trying to purchase. And they treat you like family. That's the most important thing. Every time I walk in, yo, Brodes, what's going on, man? How's everything holding up? And then, of course, we shoot it up a bit. Oh, the Sixers, the Phillies, how about them Flyers? It's just an amazing experience. They customize and manufacture every ring they make from start to finish on location, and because of that, they can beat their competitors' prices. I've sent so many family members and friends in their direction. I get the same response. Brodes, they're amazing. And you'll know exactly what I mean when you go in there and you tell them Brodes sent me. All their information is down below in the description. Okay, we are going to hear from you now on the Anytime Hotline, and let's react to your reactions.
Depression. That being said, when Bohm hits that bomb, he hits that tang into left field, and he flips that Batman, he lets out all the frustration recently in that bat flip. This kid's a badass. I was like, let's fucking go, man. I was so hyped up for that. You talk about Brogdon, and you say he has the it factor, and I do agree, but part of that it factor is being able to perform under pressure, and you kind of knew that Dickerson was going to go deep. He didn't have control of the changeup. He had to see a fastball, and when Dickerson got it, he sent it out, and Brogdon needs to work on that it factor under pressure.
Well, he does have that it factor. He's not going to be perfect. No one is literally perfect. So I just want to read some stats off about how good he was prior to this. Connor Brogdon was amazing and hadn't allowed an earned run since August 20 of 2020. It's not as if that Connor Brogdon has been some disaster forever. Just my thing is, when it comes to the it factors you brought up, no one's perfect. No one is going to be perfect. You can have the it factor and fail. Bryce Harper has the it factor. He makes mistakes. He has errors in right field. He'll make a bad decision on the base paths being too aggressive. He'll strike out. He'll have ugly-ass at-bats. You can have the it factor and still fail. So I'm not taking away the it factor card just because the first time in how long he ends up getting shelled and he couldn't really establish any other pitches, which then, it just gave the Giants everything they needed to know where or what pitch is coming, essentially. So I can't go there yet. One bad outing, you do not get that card removed from you for me. Because you can look up and down the league. Does Garrett Cole have an it factor? Well, he lost his last start. He lost on opening day as well. Does Justin Verlander have the it factor? Like these guys who have it factors, you have those mistakes, you have those hurdles that you have to cross, and sometimes you need some pain, you need some discomfort, you need an outing like this. Connor Brogdon, by the way, was sent down before in his career, and then he responded, and then he became this player that we've seen, and then he was awesome. Then he became a reliable weapon for you. So it's sort of like Brandon Brooks, right? Brandon Brooks has gone through how many injuries? And what do you expect when he comes back? He finds a way to mentally and physically get over that hump. And then when he returns, it's like, did this guy go through any sort of off-season rehab? Oh, that's right. He tore his Achilles. Oh, yeah, that's right. He had surgery. Oh, that's right. He's playing at an unreal rate again. I'm not saying Connor Brogdon is going to go on this amazing journey and this amazing run where every time he allows one run to go on the board or he allows 2 home runs in an inning, he's just going to respond with a couple months of no earned runs. I don't think it's going to be to that extreme, but I do think that sometimes as a player, you get hit in the jaw and then it's okay. I'm going to make adjustments. How do I learn from that mistake? And that's why I'm very intrigued to see the next Connor Brogdon outing. When is it? What's the situation? What's the score? How many outs? Because if I'm Joe Girardi, and this would be the thing, if he messes up and fails the next late inning spot you get, well, I know the reaction. Joe, you're an idiot. Joe, why would you do this? You saw him fail last time. Well, you got to trust your players, dude. You got to trust your guys. You got to give them that secondary chance to make up for their mistakes. If you don't, you're not going to be liked by your own clubhouse. And that's the right decision to make. So I know what's going to happen. If he doesn't execute next time, Joe is going to get abused for trying him again in a late game spot. No, that's his role, damn it. That's what he's supposed to do. At that point, it's about executing. It's about finishing it off. It's about completing the job. It's about the players doing what they're paid to do. I love Connor Brogdon. I can't wait to see him the next time he's on the mound. And I can't wait to see when Joe does it. What's the count? I would hope it's 0-0 when he gets in there. What's the inning? What's the situation? What's the current spot in the game? You know? But, yeah, I can't take away it factor card just because of one outing. I just can't.
This team is a joke. I mean, they find a different way to lose every night. One night it's the pitching and the hitters have a nice night, but the pitching's bad. The other night, the pitchers have a good game and the hitting can't hit. I mean, I can already tell it's the same ball club we've had for the past 3 years. We're going to be 500. We're going to miss the playoffs, and it sucks. There's got to be a big move coming because this looks like the same old team. Should have took Brogdon out way earlier after he let up the first home run. He wasn't on tonight.
No, he definitely wasn't. The thing is, because Rhys Hoskins hit that useless homer when the score was 10-6, and if you take away that second 3-run shot, the score would have been 7-7. But that's unfair because if the score is 7-6 without that second home run that Connor Brogdon led up, if they went to a different bullpen piece and the score is 7-6, I bet you Rhys Hoskins doesn't get that same pitch. You can't act as if just because, well, Rhys hit a home run, it would have been a tie game. No, you don't know what would have happened. You don't know how that would have played out. The game matters more. It's different stressful pitches. You're pitching differently. You're using different sequences. I mean, you're not challenging the batter the same way in a 10-6 game in the ninth inning compared to a 7-6 game in the ninth inning. So I'm not the one that's going to say that it's automatically a 7-7 game just because Rhys Hoskins hit that home run. Now, here's another problem that I have that I'm trying to figure out emotionally as well as we go through this journey of 162 with the Phils. We knew this team isn't a World Series team. We question if they were a playoff team. Right now, they're sitting at 8-9. You know who's leading the division right now? The Mets at 7-5. Below us are the Marlins at 7-9, the Braves at 7-10, and the Nationals at 6-9. So, my point is, no one's running away with this division. It's not time to hit the panic button when it comes to the division. Vegas had the odds set at 80. I thought that was low, but I always question why it was 80, because Vegas is right more times than they're wrong. There's a reason why humans that are betting their money, they're losing money, and Vegas is winning. So when it was at 80, I got a little concerned and said maybe this is going to be worse of a season than I thought it would, and we're back to less than 500, even though that's flirting around 500, of course. I thought 86, 87. This is sort of what Vegas said is the style of play we're getting right now. But even at 86 and 87, I mean, this is kind of where we need to adjust because we knew what we were expecting heading into the season. No one thought this was anything crazy, monstrous Dodgers good. No one thought that we were going to run away with this bad boy, and if you didn't make the NLCS, it would have been labeled as a terrible season. We didn't have those type of expectations. So are we seeing what we expected to see? I just thought that it wouldn't be as I want to pull my hair out. You would just have fun, competitive baseball. Maybe not winning every night, but fun, competitive, not so much 2020 vibes.
I think what the Blues do is logical. They got to hire Gabe Kapler, obviously. You know, he's obviously got the Giants winning baseball games. He's a great manager, and, you know, he's got small hitting well. Buster Posey looks like 2015 Buster Posey. I don't even know. This team is just so frustrating right now, yet it is going to get better. It has to get better. It's going to get healthier. Hopefully Gene Figueroa's okay. And hopefully Mickey Moniak is gone. No, hopefully Roman Quinn is gone.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's just, I mean, it's already past that. I was going to say at some point it's just obvious. It's already obvious. But when it continues to go down this road, when he's up to the plate and it's an automatic out, always, and he can't do anything, at some point you just cannot trout him back out there over and over again. At some point the line will be crossed. It just has to be that way. I'm a little surprised, though, by the optimism because right now I think Phillies fans and the Phillies world is so down, so devastated, so low. I was a little surprised to hear something along the lines of, we will get better, it has to be better, and the healthiness is part of it. Archie Bradley and Alvarado, that's a major role in your bullpen. Those are late-inning pieces. Connor Brogdon is a late-inning piece too, but maybe you feel like you're more comfortable and you can go to Alvarado, you can go to Archie Bradley, you can go to those guys. You're thin there right now. Like, that's major. That really is. That is something that hurts this team. You don't have those two arms. That matters. Didi and Segura, that matters. So that's a big part of it. It really is. You should have been able to win this game without that, even with the circumstances you were dealt today. I did think that this was a winnable baseball game. So I'm not saying the reason why you lost is because of that. I'm saying, though, that that was a part of the role and you were not your strongest version. Now, everyone has to deal with that. Look at the Braves right now. Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna Jr. with the hand. Drew Smiley, Max Fried, Soroka. The Atlanta Braves are getting murdered right now when it comes to injuries and going on the IL and having so much to battle through. It's not woe is me. It's not we're the only team in baseball that has to deal with getting nicked up a bit and having some problems and having to utilize other players in your organization. That happens all throughout the league. The Yankees a few years ago, every single second of the day, somebody else got banged up. They'd call up a new guy. No, it's not. They're not having the same season now. That's a totally different conversation, though. It's not that same level of, I'm talking about years ago, though. We know that the injuries were just ridiculous and it was on a whole new level. Plenty of organizations deal with that. It's not the only team that does it is the team that wears the red pinstripes in the Philadelphia Phillies. So it's no excuse. It's just I do think right now, though, they are looking at a bit of a weaker version of themselves because of it. That's for damn sure. All right, why don't we take one more call here?
Absolutely no reason for the Phillies to lose this game tonight, and it pretty much only came down to one person. You can say whatever you want about Zack Wheeler and his sort of shaky start, but Connor Brogdon completely blew it. How the hell do you give up 6 runs and only give up 2 outs? That guy just completely blew it and tanked the rest of the game. And Gabe Kapler gets his revenge on the Phillies. And in 2018 and 2019, he was considered the scapegoat for this team. I thought he sucked and we need to move on, but apparently we're just always destined to suck no matter who our manager is.
Yeah, but see, I disagree. I honestly disagree with the entire call. just because things aren't going well now, it doesn't mean Gabe Kapler wasn't a problem when he was here. Both can be true. The team is struggling. The team isn't playing well. Joe Girardi right now isn't as crisp as we need him to be. Guys aren't playing and executing the way we need them to be. And Gabe Kapler wasn't good here. Gabe Kapler was such a raw new manager at the job. To act as if a human being can't have a job, fail at the job, learn why he failed, and became a better version in another city at that job. To act as if that can't be true is just one of the most irrational things I have heard from the Phillies fans today and tonight and the last 2 days. It's ridiculous. I just mentioned Connor Brogdon failing and then getting called back up and being very strong. Brandon Brooks getting hurt, coming back up very strong after facing adversity. There's plenty of athletes that did not have a great stint their first time in the majors, their first time at their respected job, and then they became good. I'm not saying Gabe Kapler's even good right now. I'm just saying, just because his team's doing well right now and their players are playing very well, like Gabe Kapler wasn't good here. Gabe Kapler wasn't good here. And just because Joe isn't strong, like, it's irrelevant. They're all separate problems. There's a manager dissection. There's a player dissection. Everyone needs to execute their own job. Gabe didn't do it here. Joe isn't doing it as well as we need him to here. But in both of those times, when both of these guys were managers during their tenure, the players, the number one problem, the players and the roster construction, those two arguments were way more severe than the managerial side. It's just the guy to blame. It's the guy to blame more times than not. There's things that you could discuss and there's things that you could be upset with, but the bigger issue, the more important issue is surrounding the manager, not the manager himself. And what else? Oh, the Connor Brogdon thing. Dude, come on. One guy? No. Zack Wheeler was not good. Your starting pitcher had a 4-0 lead. Your number two, that guy's claim is actually your ace because Aaron Nola's not good enough. So how many Phillies fans, well, Zack Wheeler's actually your ace. Zack Wheeler's actually your best guy. Zack Wheeler's your most dominant guy. Zack Wheeler's your most efficient guy. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. I might actually agree. I think Aaron Nola has the nastier stuff. I think Zack Wheeler's the more consistent player. And that's why when he gives me 5 2/3 and 105 pitches and losing the lead and on 0-2 counts allowing 2-run bombs and walking guys on 4 pitches and battling with Darren Ruff in an 8-pitch at bat and getting murdered by Buster Posey as if he's in his prime, like that pisses me off. So yeah, Connor Brogdon failed. But it's not all one guy. That's a horrible take, in my opinion. All right, before we head out of here, though, there's some great things out on DraftKings that you need to make sure you check out right now. Masvidal and Usman put on a show the last time they stepped into the octagon. Round 2 is sure to pack a punch. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, is putting you in the center of this weekend's title fight with 26-1 odds on either title fighter on either title contender to reign victorious. Pick either main event fighter to win during this weekend's UFC 261 title fight, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 26-1 odds. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $5 into $130 if the title contender of your choice wins. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code Brodes to turn $5 into $130 if the fighter of your choosing takes home the crown. For a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, thank you guys all so much for watching. They play tomorrow at 1. I don't know if it's going to get in. There's a lot of speculation about the rain. We shall see. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.